Good evening, hockey fans. Welcome into the Ector County Coliseum. My name is Mike Wazinski, the voice of the Odessa Jackalopes, here for the 2022-23 campaign as they get set for game number 36 of 60 in the regular season. It is also game number 2 of this weekend matchup against third place New Mexico. Game number 1 could not have gone any better for the Jacks unless you consider maybe the shutout. That unfortunately was snapped by Ryan Johnson, number 18, in period number 3. So Odessa at one point had a 6-0 advantage, but the one to really talk about is period number 1, scoring 3 goals in about 10 minutes and 6 seconds, 2 of which came from Emerson Good. He would add another one to his total at the tail end of period number 1, giving him a natural hat trick and his first career hat trick. So kudos to the California native, and of course, again, he played phenomenal. Also picked up an assist on Dane Hoyard's goal, so he notched 4 points and route to a first star performance. Second star was Greg Orderons, getting a 36-save win after playing in his 13th straight game. 9-4 in that span. They'll start again for 14th straight game. That's an overall record of 15-10, a goals against average of 2.51, and a save percentage of .933. That is the third best save percentage among all NAHL goaltenders. And between the pipes for the 60-minute span yesterday was Carson Stokes. He's backing up Will Craig here this evening. The Ontario netminder, an AHL goaltender, just like Stokes is. And he's listed 6'2", 200 pounds. He's played in 18 games so far, 10-6 record, and 2.74 goals against average, and a save percentage of .906. That is the same save percentage Carson Stokes had as well going into yesterday's contest. I'll start off with the Ice Wolves starting lineup, as they will go with the third line of Will Howard, J.D. Metz, and Ryan Johnson. Will Howard's my player to watch. You can see all that type of information on him, and of course my player to watch for the Jacks, as I will get to the starting lineup for them in just a little bit. But on the Odessa Jackalopes website, jackalopes.org, you can find not just all of our news, game recaps, game previews, weekend previews, but also anybody commitment, top prospects, tournament information as well, the schedule, the roster. You can also go and visit our shop that's online as well if you're unable to make it out to the Jack Shack at any point for the next set of home games, which will be next weekend or when March rolls around, when the Jacks are back here at the Ector County Coliseum. The Ice Wolves starting lineup on defense is the second line, Jake Svendal and William Erickson. And again, as I said at the start of the broadcast, they are going with Will Craig, who backed up Stokes yesterday during the 6-1 Jackalopes win. Will Craig's last win was January 10th against the Rhinos. He's had a loss and an overtime loss as well in between then and now. Well, as for the Odessa Jackalopes, their starting lineup brought to you by the Gold Standard Family Dental. They're going with their top line of Ryan Mansfield, my player to watch for the Jacks here this weekend. At center will be Ryan Kelly. He's got family in attendance. And on the right hand will be Tanyan Bezier. And on defense, they're going with the second line of Lemuel Vardy and Jackson Hay. Once again, for the 14th straight time, netminder from Győr, Hungary, AHL goaltender, 6'3", 185 pounds. Greg Orderons, who has been phenomenal during that stretch, 9-4. Again, in the past 13 straight games for him, 15-10 overall. He's allowed 62 goals in 26 games played. Well, it's Slapjack's birthday. That's right, the best mascot in the NAHL is celebrating his birthday here this evening, and he spared no expense at getting all of his mascot buddies at the Ector County Coliseum here this evening. They're going to be doing stuff during the first period intermission, so stick around on Hockey TV for that. But they are all around the Jackalopes penalty box in that little tunnel area. Just off the lower right-hand side of our camera that's positioned above us at the broadcast booth, adjacent from the players' benches. But Slapjack will be dropping the puck here, again, to honor his birthday. And to look at the records real quick, the New Mexico Ice Wolves sitting in third place. They are tied now with Shreveport, as Shreveport beat Lone Star yesterday shut them out actually 2-0. Lone Star is now on a 3-game losing streak, which may bode well for the Jacks going further into this regular season as they approach 60 games. And those last 2 games, 59 and 60, will be right here at the Ector County Coliseum, as the Jackalopes will close out the regular season on a home ice like they did last year. Well, the Ice Wolves have a 20-14-2-1 record, good for 43 points. They're currently on a 1-game losing streak, but they have this pattern that has been dragged out since December 30th, and I'll get more on that later in the broadcast. I talked about it a little bit yesterday, but it is something that is honestly head-turning from a broadcast perspective, from a little statistical perspective. You don't see a pattern like this too often. As the road team, they are 7-9-1-1 overall, but they are 6-8-1-1 on the road against South Division teams. Again, everybody played 2 home games and 2 away games at the NHL Showcase, so they don't really impact the South Division teams or true home games, as I like to call it. As for the Odessa Jackalopes, they got their 18th win yesterday after depositing 6 goals on Carson Stokes, 16 losses in regulation, 0 overtime losses, 1 loss in a shootout, good for 37 points, still in 6th place, but working their way up bit by bit every game into a potential spot. Again, only the top 4 teams from each division will make a postseason performance. They're on a 3-game win streak right now. The longest of the season is 5, which also tied for last year. And overall, they're 9-6-0-1 as the home team, but 9-5 here at the Jack Shack. We have the national anthem, followed by Slapjack's ceremonial puck drop, and then the real one to get ready for game number 2 here from the Jack Shack.
As an airman, Edwards spent most of his time serving as a military police officer at Pope Air Force Base in North Carolina. What Edward enjoyed most about his time in the service is all the brave men and women he was blessed to serve alongside. Also, he appreciated the feeling of being responsible for keeping the country safe from enemies, both foreign and domestic. Mayberry is now a senior pastor of Community Worship Center and is married to his high school sweetheart, LaToya, and together they have 2 daughters, Anaya and Erin. Give it up for Sergeant Edward Mayberry. And now, fans, for the singing of the national anthem tonight is Texas Avenue Social Club. Captain, please. And for tonight's ceremonial puck drop, please welcome the birthday boy himself. Make some noise for Slapjack.
Well, Nikolai Duloc and Ryan Mansfield getting ready by the off-ice official booth for Slapjack's ceremonial puck drop to honor his annual birthday. And wow, what a crowd on hand. This might be the largest I've ever seen the Jack Shack packed in my 2 years in this building. This is a phenomenal sight to see. I'm also sure from a Jackalopes perspective as well. You got the mascots here. There's also the youth hockey tournament that started this morning, 6 a.m. and went all the way up to the last game at 4 p.m. And then there's also going to be all the games tomorrow as well. So tons of youth hockey going on. We saw a few weeks ago they had that in Amarillo, and the tournament's brought here to the Hector County Coliseum. Jackalopes going right to left from your vantage point on Hockey TV. New Mexico Ice Wolves will be going left to right once again in their black jerseys with yellow numbers and nameplates. The Jackalopes wearing black numbers with a red trim, and they also have a black nameplate as well. Same officiating group as yesterday. Referee Grant Hendrick, linesman Scott LeBeau, and Duncan McGarrett. Ice Wolves are led by head coach Phil Fox. Jackalopes led by head coach Scott Dewar. Phil Fox has been with New Mexico ever since their inaugural season back in 2019-2020. Again, had them win the South Division in the playoffs last season. It was the first year they made the playoffs in franchise history. As Hay will gain the red line, fire it as far as the Ice Wolves' blue line. And a lot on the line for New Mexico, trying to avoid another loss. As Vardy gets hit hard along the near side boards from number 13, Will Howard, who's leading the team in points as a shot has to be steered aside from Will Craig. That one is turned right back out in front, and they wave it off as the net was dislodged behind Will Craig. Jackalopes trying to pounce 24 seconds in, and they have one waved off. The puck was loose. Nothing was blown from the referee. Carrots are making their way over. Even though there was no goal scored, referee going over to talk to Scott Dewar about what just transpired. The net was dislodged on the near side post. What a start for the Jacks, 24 seconds in. All right, already applying pressure on the 6'2", 200-pound netminder from Ennismore, Ontario. Draw, far side circle. Some of the Carrots have made their way onto the ice, but the score is 0-0. Jackalopes have it right circle. That shot is stopped by Craig. Rebound picked up far side by Kelly. Cradled by Camden Benson. He's rubbed off the puck. Settled by New Mexico and cleared out of their zone. Good poke check thrown by Jackson Hay. Kicked along to Mansfield. The captain works it. He's on the backhand. Stopped far side by Will Craig. Mansfield had that breakaway about 30 seconds into yesterday's contest on a long stretch pass, and he was stopped by Carson Stokes. And then the ensuing, about a minute later, Trevor Tallene had his first shift on the ice and laid a heavy hit for the Jacks, hit of the game on the far side in the Jackalope zone. And he said that really set the tone going forward, where they put up 4 goals in the first period, their most in any period this season. As Trevor Tallene's out there with his former billet brother, John Wojciechowski. Guarding the blue line, they do make a line change on offense to the second line. That group had 4 of the 6 goals for Odessa yesterday. 3 from number 22, who leads the team in goals with 21. Top of left point for New Mexico. They look for a tip, don't get it. Marshall rims it around the boards far side, and out it will trickle as Emerson Good applies the forecheck. Odessa's offside. I have to wait again as Hoyard has to go back to tag up. Forward past the Carls. An Ice Wolf player had to wait for him to gain zone entry first as a pillow save off the right leg from Greg Orderos. Early into yesterday's contest in the first period, Odessa outshot New Mexico 14-8. But the Ice Wolves responded in period number 2 by putting up 18. And that's where it tries to brush it forward. Corralled now by Nicholas Javier. Sent over to Sam Droll. That shot is stopped out in front by Orderos. Puck is still loose between the circles. Recovered and flung in and out of the left glove of Orderos. Picked up near side by Mitchell. Puck is held in top of the blue line. And will go all the way below the goal line. As New Mexico is trying to flex that third place muscle of theirs just over 2 minutes into period number 1. And it's going to be a tripping call as Graham Harris went down. Guilty party number 27, Justin Hughes. Now New Mexico had 6 power plays yesterday, and they went 0 for 6. Odessa went 1 for 4. For the last 8 games of this month, this is the final game of January for the Jacks, they've only allowed 1 power play goal on 28 opportunities. We saw Ryan Kelly sacrifice the body on 2 consecutive shots yesterday in one of the PKs. There's been some 4-on-4 hockey as well. Both teams registering a goal in that category as they try a shot. Another backhand stopped off the near side and then cradled by New Mexico. Sully Sholey with it. Sends it up top to Ando. Now to the Bud Light logo, far side circle, stopped and in the blue paint. The captain, Will Howard, gets a power play goal and makes it 1-0 New Mexico. That's the 20th time they scored the first goal of the game. 13-5-0-1 record when doing so. And the pattern that has been persistent for New Mexico. Ever since December 30th, they won the game. After that, they have lost and then won, and repetition occurred again last night with a 6-1 loss for the Ice Wolves. So Jackalopes trying to end that pattern by giving New Mexico their 2nd straight loss. As Austin skates it out, sends it down the right wing. A broken play leads to Trevor Tallene, sending it near side to Wojciechowski. He's at the red line, fires it diagonally into the right corner with just under 17 minutes left to go in period number 1. And Marmillo sends it down low into the right circle. A shot hits a body in front and rebounds all the way up top. Held in by Odessa. Jack Kristen with it. He's thrown off the puck, and then it was worked around the yellow trim far side. 24 seconds in, the Jackalopes almost got the first goal of the game, but it was waved off due to the net behind Will Craig coming off its moorings. Mansfield dances around one. Horizontal opportunity, net is off again behind Will Craig with 16:20 left to go in the first. That's Mansfield, the captain for the Jacks, trying to come in from a tight angle on that far side, cut through the crease. The last time New Mexico has lost 2 games in a row, December 11th and the 16th. One against El Paso, one against Lone Star. Jackalopes will be home next weekend as they host the Shreveport Mudbugs, who again are tied with New Mexico for 3rd place at 43 points. Not only is this game big for the Jacks, but also are the 2 next weekend against another team they're chasing. Mansfield comes away with it, tries to get a pass over to Kelly, picked up and dumped all the way out into the stands. Luckily, everybody's okay, as you got to keep your eye on that moving puck, even if you are not on the ice surface. 16:10 left to go in this opening period. Ice Wolves up 1-0. Yesterday, Odessa scored on their opening power play goal about 6 minutes in off the stick of Ryan Kelly, notching his 10th of the season. It's an offensive zone draw for the Jacks. Grabbed and skated out by New Mexico as far as the red line, as they're at the tail end of some shifts, so line changes coming for those in black jerseys. Skated ferociously near side by Jack Kristen. Mansfield was stripped of the puck. Now Graham Harris with it. As Javier in the circle, he tries a horizontal shot that airmails all the way to the far side. Sent back to the top of the left point. Ramps right off a Cardo's stick. Cardo will keep it in from the left skate. He fires one, and a dribbling puck is picked up in behind the net of Vordos. Sent to Bezier, now to Mansfield. Arneson off to his left-hand side. 2-on-2 right now. Mansfield works in, gets away from one. Mansfield across. Arneson shoots, and Will Craig's net is off again. They score! William Marshall ties it! The 3rd time! It's a 1-1 game with 15:23 left to go. Will Craig has pushed it off for the 3rd time. 5-3 are the shots in favor of the Jacks, and Will Marshall sticking with it. No whistle was blown. And Marshall recognizing that, getting a tying goal and carrots onto the ice. Head coach Phil Fox talking things over with Grant Hedrich, the lone referee for this evening's matchup. We can't send things to Toronto, and there's been a lot of that net coming off from behind Will Craig. And it was about time the Jackalopes were able to capitalize on one of those opportunities. So now it's dropped back at center ice, and 1-1 is the score here from the Ector County Coliseum. They fire a sharp angle shot that's off the paddle of Ordos, and that one will hit the chest of number 5, Lemuel Varney. He's unable to clear. Marshall tries to slap it around the trim. He's able to do so. And dumped around from Dane Hoyer. Forward pass. Odessa's onside. Marshall unable to grab it between his skates. Over 5 minutes into period number 1. Jackalopes not letting a first goal strike from New Mexico unwaver them. Across, they send it right circle, and once again the net is pushed off. They better make sure that they're doing everything they can to keep that net square in the pegs behind Will Craig. Ordos will have to be on that side in period number 2. And I understand pushing from post to post and trying to make desperation saves. You see it at any level of hockey, the net will come dislodged. But 4 times it's come off, and we're not even 6 full minutes into period number 1. And we didn't really see much of this yesterday in the 60-minute span. The officials making sure this is something that will stop occurring. These are brand new nets as well. Brand new mesh, everything. That's why they look so fresh as well. Got a lot of compliments from some of the fans, and as that one reaches the safety netting for a halt to play. Offensive zone draw for the Jacks after the puck hit the safety netting on the far side. To take it is Justin Hughes, as he will go toe-to-toe with J.D. Metz from Mahtomedi, Minnesota. So far side circle off to the blocker hand of Will Craig, and that one dribbles right past Trevor Tallene, who has to go back. Dish it over to Wojciechowski, and that one's tipped by Brendan Finn. Remains in play and past the red line, so no icing will be called. That one's lofted all the way over to Wojciechowski. That's to settle it down. And it will go down. Oh, icing is waved off. Some of the Jackalopes were trying to get back to tag up as well. Turnover from New Mexico. And it goes right off the stick of J.R. Perdian. You can tell he was frustrated with himself there, not being able to get a shot off onto Will Craig. Tallene grabs a hold of it. The Illinois native flips it forward for J.R. Purdy. Tracks it in the skates, now loses sight of it. And back to Tallene it will go. Did a D near side. Wojciechowski sends a forward pass that's too far ahead of Justin Hughes, who will turn back to the bench for a line change with 13:35 left to go in period number 1. Odessa responding the right way. New Mexico's offside. This might be brought back into the Ice Wolves territory. Potential for an intentional offside. They do not call it that way, as they'll drop it at the nearest neutral zone dot right by the Jackalopes penalty box. Adam Armijo wins it on back. And he's from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Got his first NAHL goal back in September against this Ice Wolf squad. And he had a ton of family in attendance in that game. Sent all the way to the top left point and finally pulled the trigger, blocked out in front, and cleared by the Jets. Orderos comes out to play and in behind his own net. Mitchell will spin it around the glass. Kicks out for Josh Austin. Puts some sauce to go diagonal. And was kicked along by Ken Lasik. And flipped deep by Josh Austin, but up and out of play as it hit the safety netting with 12:52 left to go in the first.
There will be a post-game stay with the Jacks tonight after the game. Head to the East Top Court during the first and second intermission to get your wristband and avoid the line.
A neutral zone drop. Furthest from the Ice Wolves bench. Worked in by Banger. He turns it over to Nicholas Javier. He's having trouble with it on the near side wall. So he'll send it down to Svendal. Mansfield applies the pressure along the half boards. As Bagier comes in to help. 3 Ice Wolves digging away at it. 2 Jackalopes. Ryan Kelly looks on. It comes loose for Varney. He keeps it in. Top of the left point. They try a deflection from Kelly. Don't get one. As Jackson Hay tries to poke check it deep. Big hit thrown from Mansfield onto William Eriksson, the Swedish defenseman. As it's skated out by New Mexico. Picked up by Vardy. And thrown right into the body of number 20, Nicholas Javier. Grabbed by Zamdrol. He works in right circle and arm save from Orderos. Another one. Secondary shot now. Tons of rebounds coming onto the Hungarian netminder, and he denies them all. Skated forward by Odessa. Working in is Daniel Bagier. Fires a low shot that's kicked aside by Will Craig. As it's picked up by Benson. He turns it over. Far side opportunity for the Jacks. Emerson Good. Open ice for Wojciechowski, and explodes off his blade back over to the neutral zone. Marshall tries to softly send it forward to Emerson Good, and will ricochet off the windshield to Trevor Talley. Grabbed by Sully Sholey, sent over to Carno, and he loses it. Marshall left-hand side, right circle across. Marshall shoots it in behind the net. He was handcuffed on that opportunity. Had he been a lefty, maybe would have had a better look at it. Tough hand positioning from number 10, who has the only Jackalopes goal, as Hoyer, the Army commit. Unable to grab the puck from the far side. Got his first goal yesterday since September 17th. Definitely getting that monkey off the back as Sully Sholey's backhand goes high and wide. Trickler picked up by Orderos in his blue paint with 10:55 left to go in the first. Tied hockey game here from the Jack Shack, and a packed one at that. Draws over on the far side in the Jack zone. Off to the blocker hand of Greg Orderos. They fire one into the heavy traffic, and it's cleared out by Odessa. As Finn will give chase on to Carno. Sent to the far side. Shots are in favor of Odessa, 7-5. Hughes comes away with it, sends it up top to Mitchell. The lefty fires one, and that one hits a stick out in front. Rebounds picked up by Arneson, sent below the goal line. A loose stick. We'll send New Mexico down the right wing with it. And good defensive play by Mitchell as the sevens met along the near side. Dancing with it is J.R. Pernian. Real estate on the far side for Arneson as he tries to muscle his way deep. Collides with the body of William Eriksson. Eriksson now in retrieval far side. Brush forward and good breakup play at the logo from Jackson Hay. Finn enters, drop back for Pernian, the righty. Twist one on back for Varney with a drive into the safety netting for a halt to play. Just over 10 minutes into period number 1. Again, thanks for tuning in on Hockey TV or on the audio-only feed over on the Jackalopes YouTube channel. It is Slapjack's birthday. We have a media timeout right now in a tied hockey game, and maybe one of the largest crowds I've seen here at the Ector County Coliseum. Fans are still filing into the Jack Shack. Well, Odessa now has their first 40-goal period. That's the opening one with that goal from William Marshall. They've allowed 35 in this period. That ties their third period allowance at 35. Or, my apologies, now it's 36. The second and third period for the Jacks, dead even in goals, 4 goals against, 27 and 36. Again, that is adjusted with the goals from yesterday. And as for the Ice Wolves, again, they do get better as the game goes on. We saw it yesterday as they put up 18 shots to the Jackalopes 8 in period number 2. And their high scoring period is the third at 44. The Jackalopes have kept that streak going, though, of having a lead after 2 periods of play, as they improve that stat to 12-0. And Mexico still winless when trailing after 2 periods, 0-10-1. But right now, tied hockey game with 9:57 left to go in this opening stanza. It appears maybe, his stick is broken. Hunter Hastings, the Scottsdale, Arizona native, has to go receive a new twig from the bench before this faceoff gets dropped on the near side circle. Armijo against Hastings. One back by Armijo, but it will be picked up and skated out by number 39, Andrew Carls, who will leap around Lemieux Varney. Takes a golf swing at it to the far side. Takes a high bounce. Jackson Hay can't find it, and that one goes through the crease and back out the other way. Picked up by Tony Leahy. One hand on the stick. He's thrown off the puck forcefully by Lemieux Varney. Jackson Hay with it. Off the skate of Austin, it stays in the Jack zone before it's poke checked out by Armijo. Armijo applying the pressure. Unable to grab a hold of that loose puck as it's flipped down and cleared by New Mexico. Onto the stick of Carls. Leahy has to hang on side, and a shot is in and out of the left glove of Orders. Right to Josh Olsen. He crosses the red, now the blue. Picked up by Adam Armijo, and no shot coming from the Jacks. As now Hunter Hastings will skate it out. And softly just playing into the palm of Trevor Tallene. As Wojciechowski and him are on defense. Swept over to him far side, 8:55 left to go in period number 1. It was tipped by Tanyan Bezier as Craig also comes out to play it. And just missing the blade of Bezier as that one's lobbed out by New Mexico. Tallene trying to get on his high horse and block a shot away. That one stopped by Ordos, who does readjust his pegs behind him. With it was Benson. Back over to Javier, top of the right circle. Leaves it for Benson. He overskated it. No shot coming from the top of the right circle. And it's now in behind the net of Ordos. Way to the top of the left point. A shot from a long way away. It was fought off by a standing save from Ordos, and it's cleared out by Tanya Bezier, the assistant captain. Odessa certainly needing a change right now with 8 minutes left to go in period number 1. They do have their top line out there, but defense might look to make a change, and they do. Tallene and Wojciechowski to the bench. Sending on Arneson and Jack Kristen. Puck is picked up far side by Sully Sholey, who still has yet to clear his zone. Jack's tag back up. Jack Kristen with it. Races in. Poke checked away by the paddle of Will Craig. And we saw a lot of heavy hits and chirping and jawing at one another during the 60-minute span yesterday, especially between the two 14s. So keep an eye out for that. As that one's feathered forward to Sully Sholey, right circle. He has to avoid a hit and a breadbasket save from Ordos. Off a blast from the right circle. 7:19 left to go in the first. Shots favoring the Ice Wolves, 10-8. Both Williams have scored the only goals so far. Will Howard for New Mexico and William Marshall for your Odessa Jackalopes. Mansfield notches a point with an assist, as does Blake Arneson on Marshall's goal, as it's lobbed all the way over to the far side corner. Jackalopes looking to maybe grab their first lead of the game. As New Mexico will grab a hold of it, skate out of their own zone. As they try to get around Odessa's defense, it's brought over to the far side corner. Right to the stick of Will Marshall. Rimming around the trim all the way in hopes to get it to Emerson Good, who puts a lot of air underneath of it but gets it out as far as the red line. Emerson Good grabs a hold of it. He had a hat trick in yesterday's contest, fires one that goes wide and to the right. And he appeared to maybe have taken something up high from the opposition, checking underneath his mask as he goes back to the bench. And there's a slashing call. And it is Emerson Good, 2-minute minor for slashing. Ice Wolves on the power play for the second time here this evening. And it's still period number 1, 6:27 left to go in it. And they scored on the first one. That was their 27th power play goal this season. Jackalopes are at 12. Still looking for their first game of having 2 power play goals in a game. Jackson Hay with it. This has to be a big penalty kill for the Jacks. That's its foot forward right to J.R. Perdian. Loses it to J.D. Metz. So a Kenner Printing penalty kill for the Jacks as New Mexico walks in. With it from left to right is Sully Sholey. Leaves it for Ando. Up to the point, they send it to Metz. Now far side, slap shot from the point, or from the slot, my apologies. Whistled wide. Metz with it. Now from the point. Back over to Ando. Back over to Metz. He waits. He fires one that glides well wide right again. Sully Sholey looking to go far side. And he goes way too far, all the way back out to the neutral zone. 5:40 left to go in period number 1. 1:10 seconds to go on this Ice Wolves man advantage. Before Emerson Good can hop out of the box, and a big hit thrown from Brendan Finn on the far side. Ice Wolves still enter the attacking zone. Left circle. And an elevating shot sailed up and over the head of Ordos. Picked up by Sully Sholey. Left now for Erickson. And they typically just roll with this power play. We saw it a lot yesterday. Ando with it. A drive. And scores. It was tipped out in front again, this time by Will Howard. And back-to-back power plays and goals from the captain. 5:13 left to go in period number 1. Sent off the stick of Ryan Mansfield. And now Hastings sends it forward. Big hit as Hastings gets dumped in open ice, and that shot hits off the mask of Ordos. As play will immediately be blown dead with just under 5 minutes left to go in the first. Ordos readjusting his straps on his mask. He appears to be good. After taking that shot from the far side up high. Offensive zone draw for New Mexico, far side circle. On by the Jacks. Trevor Mitchell sends it forward. And is grabbed now by Jake Svendal and sent rink wide. Right to the stick of Carls. He fires one off a shin pad. It takes a carom. Now with it, Hunter Hastings. They try to jam it home, and glove save as it's snared out of midair by Greg Ordos with 4:34 left to go in the first. Ice Wolves have regained the lead. Scores 2-1. From the Jackalopes' perspective, the season series right now on their side is 1-2 against New Mexico. There were 2 losses. Both scores came from a 5-2 final. There were some empty nets on both nights. It was closer than what that final score read. And it appears that there's going to be an interference call. Will Marshall an interference call. Odessa still without a power play. 4:31 left to go in the first. New Mexico 2 for 2 on the man advantage. Both coming off the stick of Will Howard, the captain for New Mexico. And my player to watch. He's got the franchise record in goals going into, well, we had it at 41. He's only obviously increased that. Far side, puck will be dropped in the Jackalope zone as they're once again on a Kenner Printing penalty kill. As William Marshall's in the box, 2-minute minor for interference. Sully Sholey sends it back up top to Metz. He plays the bumper into the circle for Ando. Back over for Metz. Ando back over for Metz. The lefty fires one that snaps off the end boards. Howard finds himself in below the goal line as it bounces all the way out between the blue lines. Some changes coming on the fly for the Jacks on this penalty kill. They got Tanya Bezier out there, maybe one of their best shot blockers. As it goes off to the side of him, Sully Sholey sets back up. Again, they pretty much just have Sully Sholey, Metz, Ando, Howard out there for the entire time. And then they just will swap out one player. They now have 28 power play goals this season. They came in ranked 11th. But again, they went 0 for 6 yesterday. But that's unable to clear. Held in by Sully Sholey. He loses it. Mansfield gets away from one and is able to spin it deep with 3:30 left to go in period number 1. And now just under a minute left of this power play time for the Ice Wolves. Shots are currently 14-8. Here in period number 1, that was what the first period saw in yesterday's contest, but it was in favor of the Jacks. That one goes right past Wojciechowski. That's the turn and trying to clear the zone. Held in by Erickson from the top of the right point. Played into the circle, and they wrist one well wide. That was from number 9, Nikolai Dulot. Played right back to the blue line. Over near side to Erickson. Far side circle. And that high-rising shot just misses the safety net and remains in play. And Erickson unable to keep it in. Kuntz gets it away as he passes it backhand over to Erickson. Now to Hastings. Hastings around the glass. Far side it will go. 2:35 left to go. Stick tapping is Craig. As now we go back to 5-on-5 hockey. Jackalopes get the kill that they need to keep this a 1-goal deficit, and a diving shot hit a body in front. Spun off the windshield far side and settled down by Dylan Kuntz, the Grand Forks, North Dakota native. As Orioles will tap things up for Wojciechowski. 2:10 remains in period number 1. There were 4 goals scored in the opening period yesterday, all by Odessa, 3 from Emerson Good. As it's picked up by Javier, streaking through the logo. Wheels out to the left side as he tries a far side shot. Glances well wide, and another one, again, ricochets to the far side. And they, again, are just turning it from one end to the other, just working the end boards in behind Orioles. As Justin Hughes is trying to grab a hold of it far side. Jabbed up top and then flipped off the bench boards out to center. 1:30 left to go in period number 1. Picked up by Javier. As pass is broken up at the red line, Mitchell will grab a hold of it. As Justin Hughes will gain the red line and dump it deep. New Mexico looking to clear their zone. They have a 2-1 lead with 70 seconds left to go in period number 1. They fire a shot between the legs. Another one stopped by Ordos. 2 big stops from the Hungarian netminder. Jackalopes avoid a hip check on the far side. Under a minute left to go in the first. There was a between-the-leg shot attempt from the top of Ordos' net mouth. And he made a good read on that. Jackalopes are onside. Tapped across and out of play it will go. Right into a lucky fan. 39 seconds left to go in period number 1. Ice Wolves at 17 shots. They're leading 2-1. Odessa held at 8 so far. Offensive zone draw near side circle. Off to the glove hand of Will Craig, who's looking for his first win since January 10th when they beat El Paso. They're trying to keep that pattern alive all the way since December 30th, where they win, lose. Yesterday, it was a loss. All the way down, icing is called. 32 seconds left to go in period number 1. Offensive zone draw for the Jacks. Near side circle. Won by New Mexico. Flung off the boards. And from the red line, it's lobbed deep by Wojciechowski. 25 seconds now left to go in the first. Turnover. Played over to Kent Lasik. Backhand stopped by Craig. Wojciechowski feeds it from high to low. Good poke check from J.R. Perdian. He's being pestered from J.D. Metz, taken down. Brendan Finn with it, 4 seconds left to go. He's pinned up against the boards. Doesn't look like they'll get a shot off. Brendan Finn again gets hit from behind as the horn sounded. Will Howard getting involved as well. And now somebody throws a stick. Wojciechowski takes a shot to the head. This is all after the play. As period 1 is over, Kent Lasik's in a headshot, or in a headlock. Howard wants one with Wojciechowski. They're exchanging some. Tallene has number 18 tangled up, and he just tosses him down. Ragdolls Ryan Johnson. Wojciechowski wants to fight. Will Howard all the talk, just a cage on. Lots of cages on this Ice Wolf squad. And I'm sure we'll be starting period 2 with some people in the box. Those two, Wojciechowski and Tallene, were the ones that were in the box together yesterday when a lot of the extracurricular occurred, and there's still jawing going on. As the ref is throwing, I think, some roughing calls towards the Ice Wolves crew as they make their way off the ice. The referee making sure he's making mental notes, jotting things down with everything that transpired. Will Howard still chirping. And he's got the cage on. Well, 2-1 is the score. New Mexico out shooting the Odessa Jackalopes 17-9 through the first 20 minutes of play. That's the first time this weekend the Jacks are going into the locker room trailing this third place Ice Wolves squad. And trailing after the first, Odessa is 2-7. And New Mexico is 7-2 when leading after the first. Still a close game. Odessa again had one early in that got waved off with the net being knocked off its pegs, and then about 2 more times later they finally were able to crack it thanks to William Marshall. And there has to be a lot of talk going on between these officials. New Mexico, with all the power plays so far, a total of 3, they've scored on both, or 2 of them, as they have the 2-1 advantage going into the first period intermission. Odessa still seeking their first power play opportunity. Not sure if anything will come of it. Again, a lot of fighting invitations, especially coming from Trevor Tallene, who basically manhandled Ryan Johnson on the near side circle. Him and Wojciechowski, a great defensive pair. As, again, they were Billett brothers last season when Tallene played for the Jacks in his rookie year. He is not afraid to drop the gloves, listed 6'5", 210 pounds from Crystal Lake, Illinois. Again, Wojciechowski from Rockford, Illinois, and all that grit over in the state of Illinois, showcasing here this weekend against the team from Albuquerque, New Mexico. I'm going to step aside, update some things on social media. There's going to be some on-ice activities with some mascots from around the greater Odessa area, so stay tuned on Hockey TV. As the Ice Wolves have a 2-1 lead through the first 20 minutes of play. Welcome back into the broadcast, everybody listening on Hockey TV or over on the Jackalopes YouTube channel for the audio-only live feed. Well, I came on a little bit earlier than usual during the intermission because I wanted to break down the penalties that transpired at the end of period number 1. The horn sounded, there was a melee of scrums going on, no gloves were dropped. But it basically starts like this. William Howard, the captain, who has both of the Ice Wolves goals, got an unsportsmanlike conduct minor for 2 minutes. He also got a roughing minor for 2 minutes. And then Ryan Johnson, who had the only goal for New Mexico in yesterday's 60-minute span, gets a roughing minor for 2 minutes. He was the one that was ragdogged by Trevor Tallene. Michael Kedlacek gets a roughing minor for 2 minutes. Trevor Tallene gets a roughing minor for 2 minutes. So those basically wash out with Johnson and Howards. But here is the interesting part. There is a 5-minute major face mask call from John Wojciechowski and also a game misconduct. That is the second game in a row where there's a 5-minute major that New Mexico will have on top of a Jackalope player being sent off the ice before they could play a full 60 minutes. Yesterday it was Cameron Dunn. He was assessed a 1-game suspension after his knee-to-knee on Lindbergh. Lindbergh is not in the lineup, but he is okay. He finished out the game. He is just not in the lineup here this evening as they put in Tyler Samadrol on that top line right wing. But the interesting point, and I was kind of just thinking about this before it's put up on the video board, no one has any idea unless you go onto the game summary site on the game between New Mexico and Odessa on the league site, where all the penalties and the scores and everything like that is listed. But as I was thinking and pondering this, going into putting the headset back on, Wojciechowski was really tugging on the face mask of Will Howard, but was Will Howard not doing the same thing even though Wojciechowski doesn't have a face mask? I mean, they're both helmets essentially, and Howard's helmet never came off, which we know if you take an opposing opponent's helmet off, it will result in a game misconduct. A penalty for that. So that didn't happen. Everybody kept the helmets on. There were some loose twigs on the ice, but that is, again, it wasn't a lot of jerking motion from Wojciechowski to the head of Will Howard, but a 5-minute major and a game misconduct on top. Now, the 2-minute unsportsmanlike conduct minor to Will Howard does not wash out. So just like yesterday, it will not be a 5-minute full opportunity on a major for New Mexico. However, it looks like they will have a 3-minute opportunity on the power play, but yesterday they had something similar and then they took a 2-minute man on the ice, which negated another little bit of time. So it looks like it will be 3 minutes of power play time in which New Mexico can score as much as they would like. It will start out 4-on-4, however, if I am reading this correctly, and then go on to the power play. So 4-on-4 for about 2 minutes is what I'm assuming, judging on all these penalties that occurred at the end of period number 1. We saw a lot of physical play yesterday that really stirred up in the late stages of period number 3. Tallene and Wojciechowski were involved. Now Wojciechowski maybe, the officials took note of what happened yesterday and, decided to give him the game misconduct and not just a major. And maybe they're trying to make sure that they are in control of this hockey game. In yesterday's contest, the Jackalopes had 9 infractions for 39 combined minutes. And the Ice Wolves had 7 infractions for 14 minutes. And now there's way more already going on here in period number 1. Still 40 minutes left, and now you are down a defenseman for 40 minutes who's paired up with Trevor Tallene. You can assume maybe Blake Arneson might hop into that role. He's that extra forward/defense like he's been for a while, and still nothing has been put up on the scoreboard. So a lot of fans are maybe assuming it might be an even game at least when we resume, but it will be 4-on-4 to my knowledge reading this, and then go on to a 3-minute major power play for New Mexico in which they can score as many times as they would like. And they are 2 for 3 on the power play so far, notching their first two as they lead 2-1 to start things out here in period number 2. Odessa went from 601 penalty minutes, third overall in the division going into yesterday. They're at 640 to start today. That's the second most, only behind El Paso. New Mexico, one of the least penalized teams in the South Division, but also the league. They enter this week up 423. (17-9) are the shots in favor of New Mexico, and I think a lot of players are still just now realizing what's about to transpire at the start of this period. I do believe it will be 4-on-4 hockey for 2 minutes, and then go into a 5-on-4 for 3 minutes, where New Mexico, again, it will be based off a major, and they can go and score as much as they want. Tallene and Ken Lasik to the box, as they have the roughing minors. They'll also have the Sen Howard, who has the only goals in both on power play, so he won't be out there for at least the 4-on-4. As he gets that double minor for roughing and unsportsmanlike. You also have Ryan Johnson that has to go in there. But it's interesting that, face watching, one thing, obviously, Wojciechowski, what he was doing was one of those instances where you are trying to draw into the fight, but a lot of Ice Wolves players playing with cages, and that is, again, garners a few chirps from either side. I've talked to many players in my 4 years of being at this level, and those that wear cages, otherwise not for an injury purpose, but again, you wear them in college, but once you turn 18, you have the option in this league to go to the half visor that the NHL and the pros wear. But then once you go to college, you have to go back to a cage. And when you play high school, you got to wear a cage as well. So it's very interesting, again, at this level. But there are a lot of cages out there for the Ice Wolves. And it is 4-on-4 hockey to start for 2 minutes. And then it will be 5-on-4 power play. It will be the fourth one of the evening for New Mexico. Odessa still without a man advantage. 3 players in the box for New Mexico. I'm assuming one is serving the Howard double minor, as he won't be able to come out until play expires. Well, hopefully you were able to keep track of all that. I'll try to do my best as well. It is a 2-1 Ice Wolves lead, 4-on-4 hockey to start things off in period number 2. As Odessa goes left to right from your vantage point. New Mexico vice versa. Sully Sholey with it. Both these teams scored 4-on-4 yesterday, both in period number 3. Sully Sholey tucks it in behind Greg Orderl, sends it all the way over the top left point. That was Aiden Emerson, number 11 in black. Vardy will hold J.D. Metz along that far side corner. Again, back-to-back games with a Jackalope player being assessed the game misconduct. And New Mexico going on to a 5-minute major. Mitchell will be unable to grab that one, and good positioning with the stick from Jack Kristen. Hoyard enters, right circle, he fires one. And that one from a sharp angle goes all the way back down into the Jacks territory. He scored the 4-on-4 goal yesterday, as he put up the 6th straight goal from Odessa. Picked up by Usako Ando. Cradled by Hunter Hastings as he walks in. He gets it away from Kelly. Hastings in, shot, scores! He beats Greg Orderl's glove side. It's 3-1 New Mexico with 18:37 left to go in period number 2. And another almost special teams goal. So 4v4 hockey still for 37 seconds. And then it's a 5-minute major power play for New Mexico. They score on their first shot of the period. They lead 18-9 in that category. Picked up by J.R. Purdy. Sweeps it over to the near side for Jackson Hay. Jackson Hay enters first. And he gets his own loose puck along the near side corner. As it's covered up to the side of the net by Will Craig with 18-12 left to go in period number 2. And already an early goal from New Mexico. Again, they are still fighting to keep their playoff hopes alive. And currently are tied with Shreveport for third place, both sitting at 43 points after the Mudbugs beat Lone Star yesterday. Shut them out to put the Brahmas on a 3-game losing streak. With it is William Erickson. Sent over to Aiden Emerson. As we are now 2 minutes into period number 2. And now it's a 5-minute major. That is brought back to 3 minutes because of the unsportsmanlike conduct from Will Howard. Now Emerson with it. Sends it forward. There was a collision right by the Jackalopes blue line. As it's flipped off the glass and rides the stanchion far side. There's a skate with the Jacks for the first time this calendar year after this game. And of course, those are always much better after victories, as it's covered up to the side of the net by Greg Ordos, as Johnson will exit, as does Trevor Tallene and Michael Kanlasik. So Howard has to serve 4 total minutes, as he got a roughing and an unsportsmanlike conduct call. But he will have to wait for play to stop. 17:30 left to go in the second period. 2 minutes and 30 seconds left of this power play that they can score as many times as they want. And again, I say that because it's the major that was given to Wojciechowski. Far side circle, they fire one, caught by Ordos. And nothing comes of that. They should be at 20 shots now for New Mexico. And it's important for head coach Scott Dewar when play has been halted to make sure he's getting fresh legs out every time on this kill. And it's important the Jackalopes keep this deficit only by 2. And that's with it. The way the power play is going right now, and a blast from Johnson, saved by Ordos. But the power play for New Mexico seems to be heating up here this evening. This is their 4th power play of the evening. Jackalope still seeking their first, but New Mexico, their first 2-man advantages, they capitalized on off the stick of Will Howard, their captain. And again, my player to watch. Over to Metz. Out to Ando. Far side circle. Up top the Metz, the lefty. Mexico's recent goal was a 4-on-4, and a shot from Johnson will sail wide left. Rebound picked up by Ando. Sent over to Metz. Back over to Ando. He fakes it. They tap it over to Metz, and that blast ricochets off the end boards. Grabbed by Mitchell. Dumped off the far side glass all the way down. 16:45 left to go in period number 2. And 1:40 left to go on this counter-printing penalty kill. As J.D. Metz streaks from one zone to the other. With puck possession, shovels it around to the near side wall. Vanessa trying to clear, unable to do so, and having to chase after it now is Lemuel Vardy, who turns and fires one off the boards. Again, Cameron Dunn, ineligible for this game, got a 1-game suspension from his knee-to-knee onto Lindbergh yesterday. Lindbergh not in the lineup, but he is okay. As it slapped around the yellow trim all the way out, and now Dane Hoyt off to the races again. A short-handed opportunity, fires one that just sails up and over the head of Craig. 4 minutes elapsed here in period number 2. Under a minute left of this power play for New Mexico that started with 3 minutes because of the 5-minute major assessed to John Wojciechowski. And he got a game misconduct, so we will not see number 6 for the rest of this evening. I don't expect him to get anything more of it. Turnover in the Jackalope zone, sent into the right circle, swept towards Ordo, stopped by the leg pad. Now along the near side corner. Backed up top to Kuntz. Kuntz walks the line. The lefty will fire a low shot that's stopped by the traffic in front. Arneson clears the zone with 20 seconds left as he turns back to look at the scoreboard. 15 left to go here in period number 2, as it looks like with just 10 seconds left on this Ice Wolves power play. They're going to go 50% on the man advantage so far. Sully Scholey races in down the right side. He's stopped by Jack Christine, turned and fire off the bench boards. And out of the box comes Emerson Gunn as it's ruled a hand pass. And exiting as well as Howard with the play halting, and now penalty boxes for both sides are empty. Well, New Mexico doubling up the shots so far, 20-10. They lead 3-1. A deficit that the Jackalopes can certainly overcome. They've been down and have crawled back from far worse over my 2 years here with this organization. And even the broadcaster for New Mexico during the first period intermission talking about how terrific this crowd was, as shuffleboarding that one was Josh Austin. He said it's one of the largest he has seen since coming to the Ector County Coliseum. Trevor Mitchell with it. Tried to get things going north. Grabs a hold of it back. Has an option over on the far side, and he had his pocket picked by Tony Leahy. Now the 14s go after one another on the far side, just like they did last night. And Leahy just speared Trevor Tallene, and there's no call. Ken Lasik near side fires one off the paddle of Craig and into the safety net with 14:03 left to go in period number 2.
With locations in Midland, Odessa, Figure, Texas, and Texas Roadhouse.
Kelly near side circle. Off to the blocker hand of Craig. Top line is out there for the Jacks. It's the starting crew as well, with Hay and Vardy on defense guarding the blue line. They win it. Mansfield tries to fire one from the face-off circle. That one's blocked off and then played down the right wing by New Mexico. Good hit thrown from the captain. Mansfield now enters, cuts down the left-hand side, overskated it, and tries the backhand one back up top. And now it goes 2-on-2 in favor of New Mexico. And you slide one all the way down to Oros, who will cover things up. And some extracurricular going on now again, as the Jacks took exception to some pressure afterwards. Mansfield with an opposition in a headlock. 13:41 left to go in period number 2. Mexico not known for taking penalties or fighting, as Graham Harris is escorted to the penalty box. And the door was open for the Jacks because they had to go take a carrot. And it's a power play for the Jacks, their first of the evening, and an opportunity to try to cut the deficit in half with 13:41 left to go in this middle frame. Draw over to the near side. Guilty party, Graham Harris. As it's fired around the glass all the way to the top left point, held in by Odessa. Sportsmanlike conduct on Graham Harris. That one's launched all the way out by New Mexico. Again, teams are further away from their benches here in period number 2. They're keeping fresh legs on both sides. And it's very crucial. Odessa trying to force their way in. Tallene will grab a hold of it. Backhand one to Justin Hughes, who trying to send things over to Hoyard. That one tips off the glove of Hoyard. And that one's launched out by New Mexico. Trevor Tallene gets a quick pass from Oros. Sends it over to the left-hand side. Good head fake by Emerson Gunn. One hand on the stick, twirls away from the opposition. And we'll leave it to J.R. Pernian. Trying to leave it back for Emerson Gunn, as Leahy will send things forward. Onto the stick of Kuntz. He's got Scholey to his left. Fired off and glass. Right by the Zamboni door. Sully Scholey will track it in below the goal line. Brings it out to the right circle. Skates it all the way back. And we've seen this before. Saw it at the end of September. As they will kill off as much time as possible. 40 seconds left of this Jersey Mike man advantage. for your Jackalopes with 12:18 left to go in period number 2. Colleen sends it down the left-hand side. Odessa trying to break out on the stick of Adam Armijo, who coughs it up. And that one's poke-checked into Odessa bench for a halt to play. So draw on the far side circle. And the Ice Wolves territory. About 8 minutes into period number 2. That's off to the glove hand of Craig. New Mexico wins it. They let in 1 power play goal on 4 opportunities yesterday, as that one will ride the stanchion all the way up top from Brian Mansfield, as they'll cycle it back deep. Bezier comes away with it. Ran out of real estate, tried to leave it back for a centering pass. And it's cleared out by New Mexico. With 5 seconds left, that will do it for the only power play of the evening so far for the Jacks, with 11:40 left to go in this second period. Shots favoring New Mexico 20-11. Stretch pass off the stick of Ken Lasik, as Finn will apply the forecheck onto Camden Benson. As they're twisted up with one another, finally jabbed free by Ken Lasik. Austin looks on. Austin comes away with it. Stick tapping was Arneson. He doesn't get it. Now he will find it half wall. Fed into the circle. Finn down low. Out in front opportunity. Pass blocked by a skate in front. Ken Lasik wants some real estate. Sends it far side. Top of the left point. A shot. Again blocked out in front. Good poke check from Jack Kristen to keep it in as it's swept over to the top of the right point. Held in by Arneson. Great time on attack from Odessa. As Finn's trying to keep it in for the team in white. It's finally skated out by New Mexico. And as far as the red line, though, as it's worked back in by Jack Kristen. As he tries to send a backhander through heavy traffic. That one's dangerously played back to Craig. Picked up and skated out by New Mexico. Carls gets away from Jack Kristen, and his wrist shot goes wide and to the left. As it's picked up by Josh Austin. Kicked forward and then sent deep. With 10:25 left to go in period number 2. That one just misses the skate of Will Howard, who was one away from a hat trick. And franchise leader for the Ice Wolves in goals, Trevor Tallene, tucks it back over. Howard comes away with it, tries a low pass out in front. And Tallene will pick it up down the near side right wing. Played forward. Emerson Good picks the stick up. It looks like number 19 does have his stick held underneath. That's Jamison Klein. And no call from referee Grant Hendrich. As the fans wanted a call for holding. Marshall grabs it, far side, all the way up top. Tallene into the circle, shot stopped by Craig. With 9:37 left to go in period number 2. Ice Wolves up 3-1. As we head to immediate timeout, there was certainly a case to be made for a holding call. Jamison Klein lost his stick, but was trying to grab one from the Jackalope, tucked underneath his arm. 21-12 are the shots in favor of New Mexico. And one of the largest attended crowds I have seen here at the Ector County Coliseum in a very nail-biting contest between 3rd place New Mexico and 6th place Odessa. The season series favoring New Mexico 2-1. But the all-time record, including last night's win, from the Jackalopes' perspective, 12-14-0-1. So these two teams play one another very close and have been for quite some time. Even last season, the season series was split 4-4. That one's chipped right off the glass all the way down. It will roll as Vardy recovers it near side circle. 9:30 left to go in the second. That one goes right down to Craig, who backhands it to the far side. Big hit thrown from Mansfield over onto Nikolai Dulac. Jackson Hay trying to angle Sully Sholey away from the vulcanized rubber to Jackalopes colliding down the near side, and it's dug out by Hay. He's got family in attendance coming from Banff, Alberta. Waterhouse sets it up for Varney. He tries to maneuver it forward, and a lot of congestion in the near side circle comes loose for New Mexico. Sully Sholey doesn't get a shot off as Mansfield is unable to clear. Tapped back over into the right circle, New Mexico, and they try another one with a big hit thrown out in front. Play continues on. Never reached Greg Ordos. There was a big hit thrown onto Dulac, who was hunched over on his way back to the bench. Arneson fires it deep. Jackalopes tag up. That one bounces awkwardly back off to the side of Craig. Passed over to Sully Sholey. Again, 2 power play goals for New Mexico, and then 1 on a 4-on-4. Well, essentially just special teams and a lot of speed from Jack Christen. Look at him fly one end to the other. Brings it in, but just overskated it as he's sent down to the ice at the top of the slot. Now into the stick of Graham Harris. Drops the shoulder, hits the brinks in the far side corner, and tries to dance away from Brendan Finn. Brendan Finn tries to pick the pockets, able to do so, and says thank you very much as he dumps it out. 7:55 left to go in period number 2. As Blake Arneson will grab it and try to hack at it on the far side, with Javier grabbing a hold of it. Bodies coming together. Good breakup play as it's trying to be skated out by Justin Hughes. He's able to do so. Options all the way over on the far side, still being pestered from behind by Carls as they both disengage. New Mexico will send it forward right to Hastings. Across the red, now the blue. Tried to drop it to Harris. He turns it over as Josh Austin will settle things down behind Ordos. A breakout opportunity for the Jacks' far side wing. Fired in from the red line from Austin off the body of Craig and cradled now by Aiden Emerson as he feathers it down the right wing. Dished over and then laced deep by number 19, Jamison Klein from Park Ridge, New Jersey. 7 minutes left to go in period number 2. Almost lofted out by Odessa. New Mexico with it in between the hash marks, and a shot is stopped by Ordos. A secondary opportunity fought off by the traffic in front as it's played near side to Ken Lasik. He hits the brakes on his zone entry and sends a pass down low for Austin as now Tallene comes in. He gets hit up high and then gets sent again head first into the boards. It's going to take a lot to get that 6'5", 210-pound body down on the ice. With 6:27 left to go in period number 2. That was right by referee Grant Hendrich. And linesmen same as yesterday, Scott LePeau and Duncan Magera. 22 shots for New Mexico, 13 for Odessa. 6-1, Odessa won yesterday. At one point, we're leading 6-0. The shutout for Ordos was stopped by number 18, Ryan Johnson, in period number 3. Jackson Hay will spin one deep, giving chase to it is Dane Hoyer, but grabbing a hold of it is Benson. He drops it back. Turnover from New Mexico. As now the Army commit, showing his muscle around, as is William Marshall. That second line, I was talking to Good and Hoyard after the game yesterday, and they both give a lot of compliments to Marshall and how they like having him center that second line. Long stretch pass forward to Marshall, who tries to flip it forward, and offside is called with 5:52 left to go in period number 2.
Let's see which side of this Coliseum can get louder. Go inside. Go inside. Get loud.
Neutral zone drop. Top line that's out there for the Jacks. Up against the fourth line for New Mexico. Kelly up against Dulac for the neutral zone drop. One back by Kelly. Hay near side from the red line. Long clearing in to the far side corner. Agier unable to get the puck away from the opposition. Comes free from Varney. He gains the red line, fires it deep. Say it was played with a high stick as it's hacked over to the far side corner. Play continues on. And they're trying to spring Sully Sholey all the way down, too far forward for him. Ordos comes out to play it as he'll wheel it in to the far side wall. You can tell New Mexico, again, trying everything they can to get the 2 points in a split this weekend. Something they've been doing all the way since early December when they were swept by Shreveport. New Mexico hasn't swept a team since early November, which was against the Mudbugs. 5:17 left to go in period number 2. They pretty much have won a game, lost the game ever since December 30th. As J.R. Purdy tries to brush it forward. And that might be, again, one of the most interesting stat lines you may see in a while. And again, it played out yesterday with a 6-1 victory for Odessa. Sent forward to J.R. Purdy. He's on the far side. Works into the slot. Can't get a shot off. As he regains puck possession along the near side boards. Jabs it forward. Good maneuver by Jack Christen. He walks in. Tries to go top shelf on the short side. He's denied by the iron and a block shot out in front. Now J.R. Purdy's got to get on his high horse. New Mexico with it. Far side. Passed across. And no shot coming as Arneson will clear the zone with 4:30 left to go in period number 2. Aviar sends it over to Sanvoldal. He fires one off the logo of Ordos from the chest. Bounces back up top. Too hot to handle now for Benson. Down the far side goes Brendan Finn. He's rubbed off the puck and Benson collects in behind Craig. 4:15 to play in period number 2. Now 14s work together at the Jackalopes blue line. Leahy will grab it first. Trickles over to the right circle. They tried to stretch it from one end to the other, and no shot to come of it. Up top from Kuntz. It was well wide. Fired forward by Trevor Talley. And now grabbing a hold of it is Hastings. He's looking for real estate in the lane to send it. Far side now, right circle, a shot. Stopped by Ordos as he works it to the corner. Now for Tony Leahy. There was a big hit thrown well after the play. It's against New Mexico. Over on the far side, it's going to be Samadal. As Alston works in, he fires one, fought off by the arm. Backhanded, they score! Waved off immediately, saying it was played with a high stick. That's the second waved off goal. There definitely is a case for that. It's the stick from Mansfield. My apologies, not Mansfield. It appeared to be above the crossbar. But man, what great hand-eye coordination from the Jacks. It will be a power play. It was a delayed one for the Jacks. There was an opportunity on that far side post with a swinging baseball-style attempt, but from my vision, it did look like it was above the crossbar, which is their measuring stick. 3:26 left to go in the second period. 23 shots for New Mexico, 14 for Odessa. As the ice is littered with carrots. The carrot crew has to be told to get on the ice because they got to pick up all these carrots when they resume play. And some people might think this might, tons of carrots came on in the celebration. It's the second wave-off goal of the evening against Odessa. One was because the net was knocked off. Now it's because it was played with a high stick and immediately waved off by referee Grant Hedrick. And again, the fans not happy with that ruling, as it was, again, the second time it's been ruled off. This could be a 3-3 hockey game, have those two goals counted. It is, though, a power play for the Jackalopes as Tyler Samadral is in the box for 2 minutes.
Number 29, Tyler Samadral. 2 minutes for head contact.
As he gets a head contact minor from his hit in the far side corner in the Jackalope zone. As the referee is telling Scott Dewar why the goal was disallowed.
Tonight's attendance is 3,196.
The attendance for this evening's game has got announced. Almost 3,200, easily the largest attendance I have witnessed here at the Jack Shack. Of course, it helps with the youth tournament, but beyond that, it is still a jam-packed Ector County Coliseum in a capacity of about 5,000. And they were getting these types of numbers for the rodeo. Nice Wolves. send it the length of the ice as they are on the penalty kill for 1 minute and 50 seconds. It's the second time they're on the kill this evening. Jackalopes 0 for 1 on the power play. Top of the point, they fire one that hits Karam all the way into the safety netting with 3:06 left to go in the second. .141 of power play time for Odessa. They're going to have to dig deep. Getting one here certainly could provide the spark they need. They'll cut the lead in half, and they'll still have a full third period. As time is winding down here in period number 2. Mansfield, the penalty kill for New Mexico, came in ranked 17th. Out of 29 teams, it's sent over to the corner. Brushed back over to the captain, Mansfield. And send it up top to Jackson Hay as he'll send it over to Mansfield. He works into the circle. Across, they try to send it. Hay chops it back over to the far side to keep play alive momentarily. And failed clear attempt by New Mexico. Kelly dishes it down low. Armijo spins it around the yellow trim to Ryan Mansfield. Back over to Jackson Hay. And his pass across is broken up by Leahy, and now Hay's the only man back. And Leahy's pass too far forward for Soli. Under a minute left to go on this Jersey Mike power play. Good defensive play from Jackson Hay as he forced the puck away from Soli. Ryan Kelly works in. He's angled away. And with it is Metz as he fires it off the glass all the way past Dulac. With 2:05 left to go in period number 2. Tallene moves it to the far side for Emerson Good. And back to Tallene, it's Dish. Now under 2 minutes left to go in this period. Tallene right to the skate of Good as he'll flip it forward for Justin Hughes as he'll apply the forecheck. J.R. Pernian out there as well. Justin Hughes grabs a hold of it from the near side corner. Hughes dances with it along the boards. A play catch, Hughes works in, on a backhand, turns, fires one out in front. Puck is still loose, off to the left of Craig. Picked up and played in behind his cage. Grabbed by Dane Hoyer. Now just 3 seconds left on the power play and 1:25 left to go in the period. Back to 5-on-5 hockey we go. As it's tapped out in front, a shot, they score! Dane Hoyer, back-to-back games with a goal, and the game is now 3-2 New Mexico with 1:17 left to go in the second period. The Army commit, feeling it this weekend against New Mexico. He's got the last goal in period number 3 and gets one here in period number 2 this evening. Just as the power play expired, we talked about getting the monkey off his back yesterday for his first goal since September 17th, and now he notches back-to-back. First time of the season for him, for the Army commit. As he was 3rd in scoring last season, 2nd in goals at 21. He now has 32 career NHL goals, the Army commit, all with Odessa. As I was saying, it again, a power play goal or one that transpired like that just after could provide what the Jackalopes are looking for going into period number 3. Two waved off goals. Again, one the net off and then the other played with a high stick. This could be a much different game. And those counted, but play continues on, and New Mexico still has a 3-2 lead. Craig sends it over to the far side. That one goes up and over the head of Jack Kristen, all the way down. Arneson will touch it up for icing. Just under a minute left to go in this second period. Then a post-game skate with the team after this game. Now we're going to see if we get one next weekend. There are events that will take place in February that will not require ice, and so it will have to be melted again Bezier comes away with it, and from the horizontal angle, smothered in the chest by Will Craig in that right glove of his. Shots favoring the Ice Wolves 23-16. They were leading 17-9 after the first 20 minutes of play. Draw to the near side circle, taking it as Kelly as he goes up against Nikolai Dulon. Mansfield up top to Mitchell. He fires one that misses the blocker and takes a weird bounce to the far side. Tallene paired up with Trevor Mitchell with Wojciechowski getting a game misconduct. Mansfield gets away, tries to force it out in front. That's sent right to the skates of Mansfield. As now Sully Sholey will skate out within and flip it in behind Trevor Mitchell. Two tall defensive players out there for the Jacks. Tallene and Trevor Mitchell in below the goal line. 20 seconds left to go. Out in front, shot, they score. Ando from the top of the slot. And once again, New Mexico is up by a pair with 17 seconds left to go in period number 2. Their 24th shot of the evening. That's the first time they've scored a 5-on-5 goal here this evening. Again, 2 power play goals really being the big difference makers and tone centers in period number 1 for the Ice Wolves, and then a 4-on-4 goal for them in period number 2, which we are still in for another 17 seconds. Picked up by Emerson Good. He tries a sharp angle shot that sails all the way to the near side. Jackson Hayes blast, hit a body in front. 4 seconds left. Howard races in near side. He fires one far side and all the way back it will go as the time expires in period number 2. Well, New Mexico took a 2-1 lead into the first period intermission. Now they'll take a 4-2 lead into the second intermission. They have scored 2 goals in each period so far. The Jackalopes have scored 1 in each so far. Odessa's not leading after 2 periods like they were yesterday when trailing after 2. The Jacks are 1-10. And New Mexico when leading after 2, 14-1, 0-1. Still a 2-goal game here from the Ector County Coliseum. Jackalopes still got to dig deep and climb out of this 2-goal deficit they find themselves in after 40 minutes of South Division hockey. I'll be back in just a little bit with period number 3 here from the Ector County Coliseum. New Mexico 4, Odessa 2. Welcome back into the broadcast, everybody listening on Hockey TV or the audio-only feed over on the Jackalopes YouTube channel as we get ready for period number 3. Here at the Ector County Coliseum. The next go Ice Wolves currently leading the Odessa Jackalopes by a score of 4-2 through 40 minutes of play. Two power play goals and one on a 4-on-4 from New Mexico. That has really been the difference maker. Those two power play goals early in to period number 1, back-to-back by the Ice Wolves. We talked yesterday with Trevor Tallene, and he talked about setting the tone. That quote is in the game recap from yesterday's 6-1 victory by the Jackalopes, and he talked about how the tone had to be set early on, and he was able to do so in his first shift in a Jackalopes jersey this season. Came down from the USHL, and you can almost, again, think back to that kind of phrase and utilize that in terms of what New Mexico did in period number 1 by getting two power play goals, going up. And at one point it was tied 1-1, but then they regained the lead and they have not trailed at all in tonight's contest. Two goal advantages, and that's where, again, the lead sits currently 4-2. Odessa cut the lead in half thanks to Dane Hoyard's goal just after the Jackalopes power play had expired. And he took a shot from the far side circle that beat Will Craig. But with 17 seconds left to go in period number 2, Ando would make it a 4-2 game, as he is committed to Minnesota State University, a D1 hockey program that has been phenomenal over the last few seasons. Shots currently 24-16. Going into this final period, both teams registering 7 shots in that middle frame. Well, the Jackalopes have scored 3 goals in period number 3 before, and it is one that they're going to have to replicate. And again, I've been saying this evening, dig down deep. This is a third-place New Mexico squad that got there for a reason. They've put up the goals. Came in there this weekend with 117. Again, only scored 1 yesterday. Odessa came in with 92. Scored 6 yesterday. They have now notched 2 this evening, so they are at 100. And it took them 36 games. And this is game number 38 of 60 for the Ice Wolves. Now, Odessa still has games in hand on New Mexico. They also have games in hand on Shreveport, both 2 respectively for those 2 teams I just mentioned. And they also have a game in hand on Lone Star, as well as 2 games in hand on Corpus Christi, who are in last place in the South Division. So those 2 games, those 4-point difference could be a big swing, but those 2 games pretty much are the Lone Star games. There's that Monday game, essentially that Monday game in February at 2 o'clock in Brahmaland on a Monday. Odessa had a nail-biting one earlier this month against them on MLK Day. And then there's a 3-3 at the end of March going and ending on April 1st. And that is all against Lone Star, so that will be a crucial 3-point series. As the Jackalopes are back on the ice for period number 3. They'll be going right to left. From your vantage point on Hockey TV, Ice Wolves going left to right, and Odessa in their home white jerseys. We'll be hosting the Shreveport Mudbucks next weekend. And just to take a look around the NAHL scoreboard, Lone Star Brahmas up 2-1 over the Mudbucks after 2 periods of play, so that is a good sign from the Jackalopes' perspective, because there are 4 teams that will make it into a playoff scenario at the end of this season. And all the Jackalopes have to do is get one of those 4 spots, the top 2 being really guarded and dominated by Oklahoma and Lone Star. The Warriors win yesterday and the Lone Star loss propelled Oklahoma into the first place spot. They still have a makeup game between those 2 teams. Warriors up 7-1 to start the 3rd period against Corpus Christi, who are coming off a sweep last weekend against Lone Star. And Amarillo and El Paso are tied with 13:30 left to go in the second period. If you're a Jackalopes fan, you are hoping El Paso, of course, beats Amarillo, as the Wranglers came into this game 2 points ahead of the Jacks. Of course, Odessa has to get their business done here and focus on this game, the final 20 minutes of regulation, as they trail 4-2. Again, next weekend they will face the team they swept last weekend in the Shreveport Mudbugs, but both of those games were very nail-biting as well. It could have went either way, really, for the most part. It will cap off the 2 home week stretch before the Jacks go and finish the rest of the month of February on the road. Going to see Oklahoma, Corpus Christi, first trip to El Paso this season, and then that Monday game at 2 in Bromley. So, third period is underway. Far side as Howard sent hard into the boards off a hit from Ryan Kelly. Slashing is going to be called as Mansfield loses his stick right in front of his bench. And a slashing call just 18 seconds in to period number 3. The guilty party, number 7, J.D. Metz. So Odessa scoring off the stick of Dane Hoyer in period number 2, just as the power play had expired. Maybe they could be feeling another one here to maybe register their first power play goal of the evening. They're 0 for 2 so far. They went 1 for 4 yesterday. The power play goal was scored by Ryan Kelly. Jackson Hay back over to Mansfield, the captain with it. Sends it into the circle. He's here right between the hash marks. Back up top to Hay. He'll pull the trigger. And right through the screen it will go. Tucked back down low to Adam Armijo. Over. Shot stopped by Craig. Rebound there. Stopped aside by an out. Kicked left pad from Will Craig, 6'2", 200 pounds. Back over to Kelly, near side circle. He walks in, fires a shot right into the leg of Camden Benson. As Armijo will leave it for Jackson Hay, but he coughs it up. And after it is Graham Harris. He'll hit the brakes and then he turns it over. He's able to, though, drape it down for Leahy, who's being pressured by Jackson Hay. And Mansfield comes away with it. 18:50 left to go in period number 3. Less than 70 seconds left on this Jersey Mike power play. As changes are coming on the fly for the Jacks. Jared Perney works it in below the goal line. Retrieves the loose puck and skates to the far side with it. Leaves it for Justin Hughes. Now for Emerson Good. Had his first career hat trick yesterday. Good. Sends it back up. Tallene now near side for Perney, and his shot elevates off the mask of Craig, and he finally throws his helmet down to the ice to get the whistle. Being sent off the mask with 18:24 left to go in the third. And 42 seconds left to power play time for Odessa, as they are looking to try to once again cut this lead in half. Certainly a heartbreaking goal from Andel that was scored to put New Mexico up once again by a pair with 17 seconds remaining in period number 2. Odessa almost went to the locker room, only trailing by 1 to start this period. But those last minute, those last second goals certainly can take some wind out of a team, and it's how you respond is the important thing. As the Jackalopes have a power play early into this third period, 42 seconds left on it. They trail in shots 24-18. As Will Craig is still adjusting his mask in the crease, it appears he's good to go. Both goaltenders having to save a shot with their cage. The draw will be off to the left side and Greg's right hand, his glove hand, as Justin Hughes steps in to take the draw, the power play. That one's fluttered out by New Mexico, bounces down and is cradled by Trevor Tallene. 18:15 left to go in period number 3. Tallene skates it out, right off the stick of Emerson Gunn. Leave it for Justin Hughes forward, who's pinned to the boards near side. Duloc turns and winds one all the way down 200 feet with 20 seconds left to go on the power play. 2 minutes into period number 3. Trevor Tallene back over to Jack Kristen. We can see him wheel. He cuts in left circle, tries to go top shelf, and that one goes all the way back the length of the ice. Too much heat behind that one from number 3 in white. Gets a pass from his goaltender side. Odessa's onside as we go back to 5-on-5 hockey. Right into